Welcome to All Things Battlefield Earth, and we are on part 9 of the Battlefield Earth versus the movie. And of course, we want to point out all the positive, good stuff. And we pick up here at the bar scene where we are first introduced to Chirk. As the interesting part is she went undercover to discover all this information about Numph, who had a swindle deal going on with his nephew Nipe in Home Office. But in the book, however, Turl stayed up for days trying to figure this whole scheme out, and he figured it out. And when he did, he personally went to Numph and pretty much told him everything he knew, and had him sign over all these blank forms so he, in effect, would run the planet. So this is the scenes that we're coming up on where we first find out that Chirk has done this. Now the interesting part here is that Chirk, of course, is the beautiful Kelly Preston, John Travolta's wife, chose to play this part, and she wanted it to be a little different. So in the book, the female Cyclos did not have long tongues, but she wanted her character to be remembered, and so this was put in, as it is slightly out of view here in this particular scene. But so now the words that Turl speaks here is directly from the book. She'll get you drunk with economical speed and has other I forget the exact words, but I'm going to play a clip because this scene has so many words that are actually from the book. So they excuse Kerr, and this is where she says, "Hey, I went undercover. I got this for you." And this is when she starts talking about the fact that they'll have a huge house on Cyclo, that they'll be rich. And Turl, he can't even hardly remember the lies he's told to her, but that is his plan, is to be back on Cyclo and be a rich Cyclo and have people look up to him, worship him, and think he's just one of the best people, Cyclos, whatever. So here's where she says, "Okay, well, I can always tell Home Office about your scheme." And he laughs at her because he doesn't have much respect for women, and says, a Cyclo female getting, this is actually a cut scene though, because that wasn't in the special edition. Where he says a Cyclo getting leverage, he just laughs at her. But, and of course she throws out the tongue again. But coming up, the scene where Turl and Kerr exposed Numph. Now again, in the book, Turl exposed Numph all on his own, and he also Snit, I believe. No, Jayed was. He also was very paranoid, so he took out 2 for 1 actually. He took out Jayed and he took out Numph, but for the moment, he just needed a someone to sit in the position while he controlled everything behind the scenes. And this is where Numph realizes that he has been had, and Turl is enjoying this because Numph recommended him for another 10-year duty tour, and in the movie here they called it 50 cycles. But so Turl is eating this up, and you even see Kerr in the background shaking his head, quite enjoying the fact that they've been able to turn around what's going on. And so Turl says, "You know what? I'm required to vaporize you. But you know what?" He says, "I can understand you being old and having no usefulness." That's not an exact quote, but what he says in this scene is a direct quote from the book. Being old and having no future, as I believe was the actual quote. And so there's Turl handing over blank requisition forms. And another thing that is a direct quote from the book, where Numph says, "But these forms are blank. You would control the entire planet." And of course, in this scene, Turl's like, "Well, yes, but we could always do it by the book." And he taps on the blast gun sitting on the counter on the table. So he has no choice but to sign the documents. And now Turl, behind the scenes, is a very dangerous Cyclo because he now controls everything. So again, you know, so many aspects of the movie is just like the book, right down to the dialogue and quotes. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope you will join us for part 10, All Things Battlefield Earth. Thank you.